So we started class today with a warm-up. So here's the warm-up problems. So if you're watching this, you should pause the video and try the warm-up problems, and then play the video and check your answers. So go ahead and pause the video and do that now. Okay. So let's go over the warm-up. So if I'm graphing that first piece of the piecewise function, I'm going to input 8 in for x. And that gives me 4 minus 3, which is 1. So the coordinate point is 8, 1. So I'm going to plot 8, 1, and because there's no equals, I am going to make that an open point at 8, 1. So then from that point, I see greater, so I know that I'm going to go to the right of that point because right is greater. And so I'm going to rise 1 and run 2 to the right, and that is going in the correct direction. So that's what I'm going to do, rising 1 and running 2. Rising, run, and running 2 again, just a few times so that I can get my graph. So that takes care of the first line. Next, we're going to graph y equals 4. Remember, y equals 4 is just a horizontal line, but it's not going to be the entire line. It's just going to be starting at 1 for x and ending at 8. So I'm going to go to y equals 4, and I'm going to go to x equals 1, and I'm going to put an open point because there's no equals there for 1, 4. So that's open. And then at 8, I'm putting a closed point at y equals 4. And then I'm just going to connect those because it says that everything from 1, not including 1, to 8, including 8, should be there. So there's our second graph. And lastly, y equals 4x plus 1. So I'm going to substitute 1 in for x. So that gives me 4 plus 1, which is 5. So my coordinate point is 1, 5. 1, 5. At 1, 5, I'm going to put a closed point because of the equal sign. 1, 5 is right there, closed point. And then from that closed point, I need to graph to the left because less than would be to the left. So normally with that slope of 4 over 1, I know that's positive 4 over positive 1, which means normally up 4, rising 4, and running to the right 1. But if I were to do that, then I'd be going in the wrong direction. I need to be going to the left. So rather than rising 4 and running 1, I'm going to go from this point down 4 and left 1. And I can do that a couple times. And that gives me my line. I don't know what just happened there, but that gives me my line. We'll get rid of that crazy extra thing that for some reason just appeared. Okay, so we just have our ray starting at 1, 5, solid point there, and then straight down from there, again going down 4 into the left 1 each time. And we do have our line segment here, and we have our other ray going in the opposite direction. Okay, so that takes care of our piecewise function. Next, evaluating g of 9. So that means I start with g of 9, and I go ahead and input 9 in for x. So when I do that, I'm looking up here, and I'm trying to decide which equation I need to input 9 into. Well, 9 is greater than 8. So because 9 is greater than 8, I'm going to input 9 in for x into the top equation. Well, 9 times 1/2 is 9 halves. 9 halves minus 3 means 9 halves minus 6 halves, which is 3 halves, or 1.5. So that's g of 9. So now I need to input 1.5 into g because I want g of 9. So g of 1.5 means I go up here. 1.5 is greater than 1 and less than 8, so I know my output is going to be 4. So my final answer for g of 9 is equal to 4. Lastly, find the equation of the line perpendicular to y equals negative 3x plus 4 and through the point 3, negative 1. Let me move that so we can see that better. 3, negative 1 in standard form. So first of all, I see the slope here is negative 3, so the slope of the perpendicular is going to be positive 1/3, reciprocal and opposite sign. And I'm going to use, it doesn't say I have to, but I'm going to use point slope, and then I'll get that into standard form. Your other option would be to use slope intercept and get that into standard. So y minus y1, well, y minus negative 1 is y plus 1, equals, and we just said 1/3, times parentheses x minus x1, which is 3. So that's my equation in point slope. Now I'm supposed to get that into standard, so I'm going to distribute the 1/3. Y plus 1 equals 1/3 x minus, I'm doing 1/3 times negative 3, which is 1. And then I need to get that into standard form. So I'm going to subtract 1/3 x from both sides, and I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. So negative 1/3 x plus y equals, I'm subtracting 1 from negative 1, so that's negative 2. And next I need to do two things. I need to get rid of the negative and I need to get rid of the fraction. So I'm multiplying both sides by negative 3. And we'll bring that over here. So negative 3 times negative 1/3 is positive 1x. And negative 3 times positive 1y is negative 3y. And negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. So x minus 3y equals 6 is the correct answer for the standard form of the line that's perpendicular to this line and through the point 3, negative 1. Okay, so that takes care of the warm-up. Next, you do have a test coming up tomorrow and Friday. So I did present this list of what topics you should know, what you should study. So take a look at that list. Tomorrow's test is no calculator. So all of those things on that list you should be able to do without a calculator. And then you can see what is going to be on Friday's test. And on Friday you will be allowed to use a calculator. So, excuse me, if you have any questions, make sure you come see me Thursday or Friday during resource period. After that, in class today, we just worked on these problems. So do those for tomorrow to get yourself ready for the test. And as I said, the test is tomorrow and Friday. Don't forget, I will be collecting your packet on Friday and checking for completion of all the problems that I've assigned.